Hello. So I'm still playing with the rubber magnet stuff, although I was playing with the neodymium like a week ago. But this rubber magnet is something I wanted to make something with for a very long time. And I played with it and then got distracted as usual and did something else. Also because the neodymium is quite nice for maybe a tweeter or maybe a mid-range, but the thing is, if you want to go lower in frequency, you have to get like surface area. At least that's my opinion. You can't make like a high X-Max planar speaker, or you might maybe, but it's pretty complicated, more complicated, and it gets expensive really easily because the magnets are quite expensive, and if you want to have a bigger surface area, then you have to get a lot of magnets. And they're not cheap, although 30 cents a magnet sounds pretty cheap, but if you need a few hundred for a tiny planar, then it's gonna be expensive in the end. Or if you want to get a full range, well, it's just gonna be too expensive to play around and maybe in the end not use or whatever. So I bought this 8.5mm magnet and cut it in half, as you can see. So this is like, I lost about 1mm or something. So this is like 3.6mm thick. And both rolls are pretty even in thickness, so that's good. And then I made a jig to cut this on the CNC. And I made like this tiny jig to align all the magnets. So you push it in like this, and then the other magnet is gonna be the other way around. So you got north, south, etc. Then you will run the coil in between these magnets. And this white stuff here is the spacing between the magnets. In this case, it's 1mm. So the field strength is well strong, for at least as strong as possible for this rubber stuff, because this stuff it is magnetic, but it's not like insanely magnetic. I mean, okay, it can hold its own weight, that's about it, but it's enough apparently. I mean, Magnapen is using it for like ages, and I must say it's a brilliant design. It is so simple, you wonder why no one is doing something similar, and no wonder why Magnapen is pretty cheap and still a very nice sounding speaker. They have really thought about it well. Yeah, so I made a membrane first. It was this one. Didn't have enough tension, so this is the reason why this very nice looking PP tape is there. Yeah, and I made the coil traces 2.5mm wide. And now I made a version with 2mm wide traces, and for the wider traces the impedance is lower. It was 2.8 I think, and for the other one it was 3.8. so you would imagine this one would be more efficient since the impedance is lower, so more current is flowing. But after measuring, the 2mm version had a slightly higher output, which is weird at first, I thought, but on the other hand, the magnet gap is determined by these spacers, and it's only 1mm, so the rest of the trace is not sitting in the highest field strength, so there's current lost. This is the reason why Magnapen uses wires, I believe. So that's another clever idea. but I don't like the idea of gluing wires to a foil. I tried it once with Magnapan old speaker, and a tiny repair is possible, but completely remove them and rewire them is a bitch. Not sure how they do it. I've seen these jigs and I made one myself, but I don't know, it's fiddling and it's annoying, and you need several different glues and stuff. I don't know. I think it's also too heavy, so. Yeah, well, I made one with 2mm wide traces, and it's standing here, and it has a really nice baffle of a lost score from season 4, and some nice PCB, and another CD behind it. Always paying a lot of attention to how it looks, because yeah, it's critical. So I'm pretty stoked about this design. No, it looks like shit, of course, but this is a push-pull for variety. I really hate this word. It's impossible to say for me, but okay. So there are magnets on the front and as well on the back side. And Magnapan uses only one-side magnets. Only on the more expensive models, I think they have push-pull. And the benefit of this is it's gonna be a little bit more efficient. That's one. Another reason is when you got excursion, high excursion, the membrane will move away from the magnet structure, and the field will get weaker. So it's not very linear. And now there's magnets on both sides, so if it moves further away from one side, it comes closer to the other side. So that's the reason why I use push-pull. And you should gain 6 dB, I think, and I managed 5 or something. But this could be, I don't know why it isn't 6, but it could be anything. I mean, maybe I didn't align them well, or whatever, could be anything. 1 dB is not that much. As long as both speakers have 1 dB difference, I'm okay. It plays from 200 Hertz right now. I added some IQ on the low end, 6 dB gain from 600 Hertz to lift it a little bit. You can see the resonance frequency of the panel is here. And then there's a problem at 12K. Here I EQ'd it already with minus 12 dB or something. But as you can see in the small picture there, it is a problem. It is a hump of 14 dB or something, or 60 maybe. So must figure out what it is, or what is the reason why it's there. Maybe I can change it. I hope it's not the thickness of the magnets, because can't change that. Or I have to buy other magnets, which is possible, but then the field strength will be even less. So, but yeah, it plays. It's not usable as it is. I mean, you need like, if you use like 4 panels or something, so maybe a meter high or slightly less, then you could really put out some sound, that's for sure. But this is it playing from 100 Hertz. I kept it at 100 because otherwise I will be pumping in power, which you cannot hear because it cannot reproduce it. So, but it will heat the coil. So, but here's it playing from 150. I think it's crossed. Although, because of the resonance, it only plays from 200.
pas op. Lang niet zo leeg als jij. Ik zat vast, maar niet in de knoop als jij. Ik ging dwars door alles heen, door. En ik wist het wel, ik wilde het zien, maar ik zag het niet. Ik dacht dat ik alles begreep, maar ik begrijp alleen maar mijn eigen verdriet.
Like that. So I'm pretty fun about it because it's really cheap. I mean, it's nothing like the neodymium in price. Not so much for this tiny panel, but if you want to scale it up, like 4 times as big, it's not gonna be a huge amount of money, which it is gonna be if you're gonna be using neodymium. And then still, you will end up in high efficiency, but you will also end up having problems in Xmax and introducing loads of resonances in the foil and crap. So I think for a mid-range tweeter it might work, but if you want to go as low as 200 Hertz, for instance, like this panel does, that's not gonna work, I think. But, well, still, I'm not there yet either. I mean, it's playing right now, but I cannot cross it at the resonance frequency, of course. So I need to get the resonance a little bit lower even and get some more surface area and see what happens. And especially, I need to get rid of this 12K peak, which is really nasty and huge. Oh, one last thing. Normally I have like felt on the front of the speaker for dampening, which is needed. This time I thought I want it on the inside, but I wasn't sure what to use. So I was cleaning the toilet, not the toilet itself, but also, by the way, but like knobs and stuff. And I used these napkins, wet napkins with, I think, alcohol or something is in there. I think it's hygiene, blah 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 bullshit. But these feel like really soft. So I got some of these and let evaporate the liquid that's in there. And it's really nice material for damping. So I glued it inside of the front of this panel on the magnet structure. So it gets damped as close to the membrane as possible, which is good. And it's only one piece, and it dampens it really well. And I'm gonna do the backside as well, see if I can maybe get the high frequency a little bit down, so I get a more natural straight curve here. So this drops a little bit, would be nice, because I don't need it there. It's nice to have efficiency, but I still need to balance it. So, well, that's about it. It's yeah, well, it keeps me busy. See you around.